Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and I want to do my review of my pen and ink pairings for the month of May in 2024. So this month I had 7 pens inked up. One was a carryover from the last 2 months, actually. Well, I got it mid-March, and then I had one new pen that was added to my collection. And I also did kind of one additional feature for this video where, which I'll talk through when I get there. I do also have off to the side my Hobonichi cousin that I use for a journal, or my Hobonichi Hone cousin, and my Hobonichi 5-year, because one of the pens I primarily use in the 5-year, and that is a cream paper versus the Hone is a white paper, just to show the difference there. So let's get into it. The first pen and ink pairing that I had this month, and this is a pen that came towards the end of April. This is the Pelikan M200. It's a limited edition copper and rose gold. It is a beautiful pen. I did get it with a fine nib, and this one has an ink window. So I do have a good amount of ink left. The entire ink window is covered. So this will go into next month in some capacity. And the M200 is not a gold nib, it's a steel nib. But it has rose gold accents. It's beautiful. So for this pen and ink, and the feature that I added is I did a little swatch to kind of see beginning of the month to end of the month, and does the ink change at all? And there is a reason why I did that. So the pen I gave an 8. I think because I'm spoiled by having the Pelikan M400, which I love so much, and it is a gold nib, this is a slightly different experience. But having said that, it's an 8, so it's still really good. The ink is a 10. I love this ink color, and I thought it was a really nice pairing for this pen. And the combination I gave a 9. And the reason I gave it a 9 is that at times it seemed like perhaps the feed wasn't keeping up with my speed of writing. And to highlight that, let me show you an example. I guess as I look back on it, it seemed to be more, I guess, my experience. There were times that it just, the way that the ink was hitting the page was not even, and it seemed from the start of the writing, as it went on, it got less even. And I found at times I had to go back and place the pen back down at the top of a letter just to make sure it was legible. So that's kind of what I meant by the feed didn't seem to be keeping up with the speed of my writing. The next pen is my favorite, my Pelikan M400. This was my original Holy Grail pen. This is one I would be absolutely floored if I were to ever get rid of this pen. While it is small, and I actually was kind of reflecting, I was surprised at how small this is. I think it's kind of like how people get their first Kaweco Sport, and even though they watch unboxings, when you see a YouTuber get their first one, they often comment, I didn't think it would be this small. I definitely didn't expect it to be as small as it was, but when it is kept, the length is perfect. It's lightweight. The nib is just absolutely lovely to write with. Having said that, I did recently try a Pelikan M1000 Ah, that nib is special, 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 special. But I keep telling myself it writes very, very similarly to my Leonardo Elastic Fine nib, so I'm going to be happy with my Leonardo Elastic Fine. So this one was inked up. Oh, I don't even know if I actually said it was inked up. My last one was inked up with Color Verse Brunch Date. Apologies. But this one was inked up with a Roshizuku Inaho. I was really inspired to use this ink because I recently did a comparison video to see what inks I had in my collection that were similar to Inaho, because I do love this kind of murky, greeny browny color. It's as evidenced by the next one being very similar. But this, I'm giving the pen a 10, the ink a 10, and the combination a 10. I haven't really found an ink in this that I don't love. Maybe Diamine Coliseum because it was light, but even that one I still found a way to enjoy. I just love the writing experience with this pen. I love that the body is somewhat transparent, so I can see the amount of ink that's left. The ink capacity is about to here. I still have a few days of journaling left in this month, so I might be able to get it down a little bit more. There was some feathering, and it's just something I'm watching with Inaho. I know Pilot Oroshizuku inks are very well lubricated, but it seemed to happen at lower parts of the paper, which make me think that it likely is more so from kind of the oils in my hand. Apparently, the girl's got oily hands. Trying to see if I can find a good example. I'm not really finding. I mean, it looks very good here, and I love it paired with the Colorverse Brunch Date as an accent color when I'm doing my journaling. So, really love that combination. Next up, I went out on a limb and with my Pilot Firmo, which is another model similar to a Vanishing Point, where it has the twist top as opposed to the click for the nib exposure mechanism. And I put a shimmer ink in this. So this is a fine nib. I believe it's an 18 karat nib. But it's fine. I put Diamine Olive Swirl in there because I really love that ink, and I'm itching for whatever opportunity I can find to use it. So the pen is a 10. I love writing with this pen. I love that it has a little bit of back weight to it from the mechanism back here. It's very comfortable to write with, even though it's a little long. That doesn't bother me. It's a really lovely pen, and I just think the dark green might look black, but it's really a really dark green is very classy. So it's definitely one that I like writing with. I guess in public, I like to show this one off. The ink I gave a 9, and the combination I gave a 6. And the reason that I did that, I gave it a 6 as a combination, is I think this is a pen that, because it's a Japanese fine, probably just shouldn't put a shimmer in it. That's just not going to highlight all the great things about this pen. So there were times where I would flood the feed, and I would find that it would start to get a little bit clogged. I then flooded the feed, and it wrote beautifully. But you can definitely see the saturation of the ink decreases slightly over time, and then it gets nice and dark and saturated. I think there was another time, yeah. So here's where I flooded the feed. You can see again that slight desaturation as time goes on, and then I flooded it, and it's beautiful. So that's, I probably won't do a shimmer in that pen. I have plenty of other pens that handle shimmer just fine. All right, next up is the Pilot E95S, and this is in the burgundy model, so it has this beautiful champagne color, the classic yellow gold, and this burgundy bottom. This is a pocket pen, so without it being posted, it is quite short, so it is one that you post, and then it's perfect. I love this pen. I love this nib. I really love putting a red ink in this pen, which is very interesting. And I found myself this month thinking, I kind of want to get a sample of Diamine Writer's Blood and Diamine Ox Blood to try in this pen, just because I do gravitate towards those deeper reds with this one. So the pen, I gave a 10, the ink a 10, and the combination a 10. And yeah, the flow was really consistent. I liked that pop of red within kind of the earthy tones here at the beginning. All right, next up, and this is one that I will show the two different paper examples, the white and the cream, but I have my first and only so far custom hand-turned pen by Bart at Zodiac Pen Co. I love this pen. It is beautiful. It is comfortable. It has an extra fine nib, and despite being extra fine, it flows really, really well. But I think specifically paired with with a Pilot Iroshizuku ink, which, as I said, is very lubricated, it just really, for me and my style, was a fire hose. So I gave the pen a 9, the ink a 9, and the combination a 10. The only reason that I went with a 9 is for some reason, it likely is user error, but you can see a little discoloration right here. There was internal leaking. And so early on in the month, when I opened up and used it and I positioned my hand, I had ink all over my fingers. And so I went, yeah, you can see a lot of the ink right here in the threads. So I did have to rinse the inside of the barrel, and then there was a lot of condensation from that rinsing. So I will have to clean out the inside of the barrel some more because there's still a lot of ink in there. But other than that, it was great. It very well could be user error. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. And let me show you. So it just was a beautiful pop of color on the white Tomoe River paper and the Hobonichi Hone. And then in my 5-year, this is what it looks like in my 5-year. All right, now next is my black and white vanishing point, or my Stormtrooper vanishing point that is many, many, many years old at this point, maybe 7 years old, 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. You can see how worn the click button is from all the years of use. And this is one that I, at the one and only pen show I've gone to, I did have them grind this one. It was writing very wet, and I wanted it to be back to kind of the original extra fine. And then recently, when I was doing my weekly planner setup video, it just gushed. So I'm a little nervous about that. It is pretty much out of ink at this point, so I will be washing it out. But I really forgot how much I love this pen. And even more specifically, I forgot how much I love the Iroshizuku Kirisami in this pen. The Kirisami is just a grayish black. It's a dark gray, and it's not as stark and shocking as a deep, deep black, but it kind of at first glance is dark enough to pass as a black. So I really, really, really loved that that ink. I have not used it for a really long time. So I gave the pen a 10, the ink a 10, and the combination a 10. All right, next up is, let me just find a page. Well, I might not have done any journaling. Yep, I did not. I will have to do that by the end of the month. All right, so is the my Opus 88 in Halo Blue because of the grip section. And this has an extra fine nib. And this is inked up with Yoseka Ceramics Tang Me Save Blue. I got this in the middle of March and I've had it inked up since. It is getting close to done. So I think because this is the only ink that I've had in this pen, I'm comfortable with kind of depositing what's remaining back into the ink bottle and then cleaning it and inking it up with something new. So I gave this the pen a 9, the ink a 10. I love this ink. And the combination a 9. One thing of note is from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, it's definitely a little bit more saturated. I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up. But what I think I've decided is, given the huge ink capacity, I am going to ink this up with the mindset of this will be a pen that I bring to Greece with me. So I'm going to be thoughtful about my ink choice, that it's going to be something to match my June colorway and my July colorway, neither of which have I planned out so far. So hopefully I will be doing that soon. But really love that pen. And I think the fact that it has the plunger that I can close, for me, makes it very safe to bring on a plane. Paired with the huge ink capacity, this may be the only pen that I bring. So all right, and last but certainly not least, but certainly not least is my newest pen, which is the Waterman Carene in Amber. And this is a pen that one of my first subscribers and viewers that I then connected with through pen pal correspondence. One of their first letters to me, they wrote that letter with a Waterman Carene, and it wasn't a pen that I'd heard of, so I looked it up, and goodness, is it beautiful. And so for, I think, over the past year or over a year, I've been considering getting this pen. It then kind of blew up on the YouTube world, and whenever there was a sale, it was sold out. But I recently was able to capture a sale and snag it through Endless Pens. They do really, really nice sales. So I was very appreciative of that. Now this pen, or this, it's inked up with Robert Oster Cafe Crema. This is the reason that I added in this new feature, because this ink, to me, is a whole different color than how it started at the beginning of the time using it. So I really wanted to ink this ink up because the shading and the way that it gets really dark and almost black around the edging, kind of a black tipping, is just so beautiful. And that's what I really, really wanted for this pen. And I'll show you a really stark sample, which just is shocking, but I gave the pen a 10. It's got this really nice weight to it, and you can write with it unposted as well as posted. I prefer unposted with this one, just the body is so beautiful. I would not want to risk any micro scratches or anything like that. And it is a pull or a pop top, not a spin, which is also really nice. And I've found that I really enjoy this at work. The ink, I'm giving a 7. I don't, I love this color, but this is what I wanted. So I was a little disappointed on that, but I'm still going to make the combination a 10. I just really enjoyed this pen. So let me show you kind kind of a phenomenal example. All right, so, and this is just a day apart. So one day it was this color, the next day it was this color. And I just am fascinated what happened. I mean, it's not getting exposed to sunlight. I don't know. If it were evaporating water, if the converter was not attached fully and it was evaporating condensation, it would get darker, not lighter. So I just thought that was fascinating. That's the only word I can use. I have more of this ink in a sample, so I can try it in another pen and see if it's similar. But yeah, I am thinking, I really love that deep, deep dark brown in this pen. So I'm already thinking of what the next ink will be in it. And then continuing the kind of highlight words that I started last month, I had some positive comments on it. I felt that the M200, the Pelikan M200 with Colorverse Brunch Date was very pleasant. And just the way that I wrote this out, you can see the beautiful shading in this ink. Oh, I love it, love it. The Pelikan M400 with Iroshizuku Inaho was enjoyable. Really loved that. The Pilot Firma with Diamine Olive Swirl, unfortunately, I did feel underwhelmed by that as a combination, but individually, I love the pen and I love the ink. Just that combination was a little underwhelming for me. The Pilot E95S with Diamine Noel, I felt was sophisticated, kind of a classic dark red. The Zodiac Pen Company in the Virgo model, red abalone blank with Iroshizuku Ajisai was very bright. The Pilot Vanishing Point with Iroshizuku Kirisami I felt was extremely classic. That's a lovely pairing. The Opus 88 in Halo Blue with Yosaka Ceramics Tengisei Blue, I was very satisfied with that. This also shows off the shading in that ink really well. And then the Waterman Carene Amber with Robert Oster Cafe Crema I felt was very balanced. And I'm really commenting on the pen in that word. So that is my monthly currently inked pen and ink review. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found the information valuable, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.